Nathan and Priya both turned 30 in the same year. Nathan was a project manager in Denver earning $64,000. Priya was a marketing director in Charlotte earning $67,000. Priya was a marketing director in Charlotte. Close enough. Similar cities, similar costs of living. Nathan had $380,000 in invested assets, zero high-interest debt, and a retirement date he could name. By 50, Priya had $91,000 saved, $22,000 in credit card and personal loan debt, and a retirement timeline she described as whenever I can. She did not spend recklessly. She did not have a catastrophic financial event. She made 5 specific decisions during her 30s that felt reasonable in the moment, which is most expensive choices of her life. Nathan made 5 different decisions. Not dramatically different. Not requiring more income or more sacrifice. Just structurally different. And by 50, those 5 decisions were worth nearly $300,000 in the gap between them. My name is Carey, and what I am going to show you today are the 5 specific decisions that your 30s force you to make, whether you realize it or not, and how each one either compounds in your favor or against you for the next 20 years. Because your 30s are not just another decade. They are the decade where your income is finally real, your expenses are finally stable enough to build around, and compounding has enough runway left to work at full force. Every one of these 5 decisions is still in front of you, if you are in your 30s right now. Decision 1, whether you automate investing before lifestyle inflates. The most important financial moment of your entire 30s is not a market event. It is not a raise announcement. It is the 2-week window immediately after your first significant raise following age 30. Most people in their 30s receive their first real income increase. The raise arrives. The lifestyle expands to meet it. And the investment account receives whatever is left, which is almost always less than it should be, because lifestyle inflation is immediate and automatic, while investment contributions are deliberate and optional. Nathan received a $12,000 raise at 31, before his lifestyle had any time to adjust. He increased his automatic investment contribution by $600 per month, exactly half the after-tax value of the raise. He never felt the $600 because it was automated before his spending patterns could absorb it. Priya received an $11,000 raise at 31. The difference began before either person realized it. Within 4 months, she had upgraded her apartment, leased a newer car, and increased her dining and travel spending to a level that felt earned and reasonable. Her investment contribution stayed flat. Over the next 19 years at 8% average return, Nathan's $600 per month compounded into approximately $340,000 from that single decision. That is the entire gap between them explained in 1 raise and 1 2-week window. Decision 2, whether you buy a home for the right reasons or the wrong ones. The 30s home purchase is one of the most financially consequential decisions of the decade and one of the most emotionally driven. The right reason to buy a home in your 30s is when the monthly cost of ownership, mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance is comparable to or lower than renting in the same area. And when you have high confidence, you will stay in that location for at least 7 years. The wrong reasons are social pressure, the feeling that renting is wasting money, or buying more home than your income supports because the bank approved the amount. Priya bought a home at 34 for $387,000, $40,000 above her original budget because the neighborhood felt right. Her monthly housing cost, including maintenance, was $2,400. A comparable rental in the same neighborhood was $1,650. She was paying $750 more per month than she needed to for housing while simultaneously underinvesting. That $750 per month difference over 16 years at 8% average return is $270,000 in foregone compounding. Not from buying a home. From buying the wrong home at the wrong price at the wrong time for the wrong reasons. Decision 3. Whether you grow your income or only manage your expenses. This is the decision that most personal finance ignores because expense management is easier to teach. But in your 30s, the math favors income growth over expense reduction as the primary wealth building lever. Because if you earn $70,000 and cut expenses aggressively, you might free up $500 to $800 per month of additional investable capital. But if you increase your income to $95,000 through a combination of skill development, strategic job changes, or side income, and automate the increase before lifestyle absorbs it, you have freed up $500 to $2,000 per month. The 30s are the last decade where the compounding impact of income growth fully materializes before retirement. A $25,000 income increase at 35 that gets automated into investments at 8% average return for 25 years produces approximately $220,000 in additional retirement wealth. The same increase at 45 produces approx $98,000. Same raise, same rate, the decade makes the difference. If this is landing for you so far, take 2 seconds to hit the like button. Nathan changed jobs twice in his 30s specifically for income growth and negotiated every offer he received. By 39, Nathan was earning $94,000. Priya stayed in the same role for 6 years because the stability felt safe. Priya was earning $76,000. That $18,000 income gap compounded across the remainder of their careers was worth more than any investment decision both made. Decision 4. Whether you build an emergency fund large enough to protect your investments. Most people in their 30s have heard the advice to keep 3 to 6 months of expenses in an emergency fund. Far fewer people actually do it, and the ones who do not pay a price that almost never appears on any financial statement. When an emergency arrives like a job loss, a medical expense, the money has to come from somewhere. It almost always comes from investment accounts. Retirement accounts get raided, index funds get liquidated, and the liquidation almost always happens at the worst possible time. Priya pulled $14,000 from her retirement account at 38 during a job transition. She paid taxes and early withdrawal penalties that consumed roughly 30% of the withdrawal. She lost the compounding on the remaining $14,000 for the following 12 years. That single emergency fund failure cost her approximately $31,000 in retirement wealth. Not from a bad investment, from not having cash available when she needed it. Nathan kept 5 months of baseline expenses in a savings account. When he experienced a job transition at 37, he lived on his emergency fund for 4 months. His portfolio compounded uninterrupted through a period when Priya's was being depleted. Decision 5. Whether you calculate a specific retirement target or drift without one. Everything in this video connects to this final decision, because without a specific target, the other 4 decisions lose their anchor. Nathan calculated his PRE to 32. His monthly baseline expenses were $2,900. His PRIT was $870,000. He knew at every point in his 30s exactly what percentage of his target he had reached, and exactly what contribution rate he needed to stay on track. That knowledge informed every other decision, changing the automation rate after raises, the housing budget, the income growth priority. Priya never calculated a specific number. She saved when she could, spent when she felt rough, and assumed retirement would be funded by the combination of Social Security and whatever was in her accounts by the time she got there. At 50, she had $91,000. Her PRIT, calculated for the first time, when she ran the numbers, it was $840,000. The gap between $91,000 and $840,000 at age 50 is not insurmountable, but it required a complete restructuring of every financial decision going forward. A restructuring that would have been unnecessary if the number had been calculated at 32. Here is what I want you to do this week. First, identify which raise in the last 2 years you allowed lifestyle to fully absorb. Calculate what 50% of the after-tax value of that raise would have been per month. Second, if you own a home, calculate your true monthly cost of ownership, including mortgage, taxes, insurance, and an honest estimate of annual maintenance divided by 12. Compare that to comparable rentals in your area. If you are significantly over market, identify one structural change you can make in the next 12 months to reduce the gap. Third, identify the single highest leverage income growth move available to you right now. A negotiation, a skill development, a job search, and take one concrete step toward it this week. Fourth, calculate your current emergency fund. If it is below 4 months, set up an automatic transfer to a high-yield savings account today until you reach that level. Set up an automatic transfer to a high-yield savings account today until you reach that level. Fifth, calculate your PRIT right now. Monthly baseline expenses times 12 divided by 0.04. Write the number down. Compare it to your current invested balance. Let the gap between those two numbers inform the urgency of every other decision on this list. Nathan did not have more willpower than Priya. He did not have better luck. He made 5 structural decisions in his 30s that ran quietly in the background for 2 decades and produced a $289,000 difference in their net positions by 50. Priya's 50 now. She has 15 years of working life left, and every one of these 5 decisions is still available. The question is not whether you will make these decisions. You are already making them by default. The question is whether you make them deliberately. I'm Zik. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next.